What is up, everybody? My name is Andrew, and welcome back to Space Engineers Survival 2025. This is episode number 45, and last episode we had quite a bit of a battle. This is a bit of a weird view, this. We're kind of a little bit sideways on this thing, but last episode we took on our first Prorotech fight of the entire series, and it went about as well as you could probably expect. The snowstorm is in shambles. Look at this. We have pieces randomly broken off everywhere. We've got an entire hole in this section that we just built. That's kind of crazy. I think the back might be fine. Well, no, this hole definitely comes through right there as well. You can see where the railguns kind of tore through the hull of the ship, but we came out on top eventually. It was a long battle, and it required at least two back-offs where we could repair some of our weapons. But again, we did come out on top, and I think that's a good thing. So in this episode, we're going to spend the entire episode capturing stuff that's on this base and using it to rebuild the snowstorm. Now, we don't have to do a crazy amount. I mean, okay, we do have a lot to do a crazy amount, but what I'm trying to say is we don't have to do like a big rebuild, like a big renovation sort of thing. But maybe we'll take some opportunities to change a couple things where we find necessary. Like, for instance, this front here, I don't know, it could use something maybe. Also, the back right here, it'd be nice if I added a couple more ion thrusters, so maybe having another ring around here would work, or maybe right around here, where we can throw a couple ion thrusters would go pretty well. I don't know. We've got a lot to do in this episode. And one other thing that we have to do in this episode is rebuild the Barista, because for all this work, we're going to need a ship that allows us to weld things up easily. We're not gonna be able to do this all with our hand. Probably. Well, maybe we will. I don't know. But I'm thinking what we're gonna do is we're gonna rebuild the Barista with this Prorotech thruster here, because this Prorotech thruster is extremely fast, and we can probably use this as the sole backward-facing thruster for the ship. So this will be the base of our ship. And actually, if I take these off, by the way, hang on, do I wanna do that? If I do that, it might fly away, so that's the risky part. But I can at least take out a little bit of it so you can see. It goes all the way back out to here. Like, this is the thruster. Look at this. This is how big it is. It is an insane thruster, so we will be building the entire ship around the thruster, which is kind of wild. But it'll be good because it's a very powerful thruster. But anyways, yeah, we got those, and then we of course have two Prorotech batteries on this base as well that we can use on the snowstorm, but they're large grid, so I can't use them on the Barista.
Energy critical.
But anyway, yes, let's get some energy and let's get to work. Gotta work. Gotta make that money make purse. So I wonder if I want to start with building the Barista, because it would be helpful considering not only do we have to grind down most of this stuff, so having a grindista would be really good, but also we do have this, and getting started on that would be a good idea. The only problem is we don't have a lot of materials on this base that we could pull from. Most of the materials are over there, so we need to use this as a starting block as well. How are we going to do this? I think I know what I want to do. Oh, this is gonna be a little sketchy. Oh wait, are you on a, hang on, are you on a, what are you on? Oh, you're on one of these. Okay, no, we're fine. As long as that is connected to this, which I don't know that it is, but let's right click that and make sure that they're connected real quick. And then we can be a little bit more confident about what we're doing here. Okay, yes, that is connected, which means you should be less, here, let's go ahead and rotor lock that. You know, I appreciate, by the way, them making this out of heavy armor so I don't accidentally just shoot through the entire thing, because that would be a little bit sad. But anyways, now that we know this is on a rotor, that actually makes life a whole lot easier, because now we can work with it from here. What I was thinking was I was going to put one of these guys, a piston, I forgot the name of a piston, on here, and then raise it up from there, but I might not have to do that. I mean, I could still do that, to be clear, and it might not even be a bad, hang on, let me think about this. Out. And then piston, and then this is the Kanajashi technique, but we're gonna go ahead and put a mag plate on the bottom of this piston right there. And then what we have to be really cautious of is that this is a very dangerous system here. We have a piston and we have a rotor. So if we activate this piston and go too hard, it could cause the rotor to go too hard as well. Okay, let's right click those, and I'll get this as well. A little bit of clang. It happens. By the way, last episode there was so much clang noise that I had to actually turn down the volume when this thing was rotating. It was insane. There was too much clang noise for sure. Okay, so what we have to do here is we have to be very careful about our velocity. Give it enough positive velocity to touch. There we go. And now that that's touched to the ground, we can go ahead and disconnect you. I'm just gonna go ahead and disconnect it this way, I think. So detach. That's fine. And then we can go ahead and increase the velocity of this to bring it up in the air. Bring it up in the air like I just don't care. It's got no battery. There we go, tiny battery, and that's gonna allow us to increase our velocity as much as we want. I think probably something like that is gonna be okay. I can always increase it more if I want to. And then I don't know if I wanna keep this. I can always add it again on the bottom if I want to. You know what, it's fine. You know, it would be really nice, and maybe there's a mod for this actually, I don't know, but the ability to lock a block so that you can't grind it down or anything. Because I'm trying to grind down these things, I really don't want to accidentally grind down this block because, of course, some blocks will, you know, the Prorotech propulsion unit and the cooling unit and the frame will unfortunately disappear if I do that. So it'd be really nice to be able to lock down, you know, the entire block so that if the grinder hits it, it won't do anything. Now, it could be a mod. I feel like that'd be an unfair mod if you were playing on multiplayer because you can make any grid invincible that way. But I feel like that would be a helpful thing for kind of like single player. And what do you have, by the way? You've got some power cells, some explosives. Okay, so that's some good stuff. In fact, what I might do is I might grab all this and go ahead and toss it inside here so it's in a more secure location. And I keep forgetting that our inventory size is more, so we can actually hold quite a bit. So the problem here is going to come with the fact that we have what is essentially the largest, well, it is the largest small grid thruster in the game, right? The closest thing that would come to it would be the atmospheric, I want to say, thruster, which is about this big. And see, that doesn't even compare, right, in size. Then we've got the largest hydrogen in the game, which is going to be this one, which also doesn't really compare. And then the largest ion, which is probably the same size as those. Yeah, the largest ion also doesn't compare. They're all about the same size, but then the Prorotech one is much longer, which means, like I said, we need to build the ship around this thruster, which is going to be a little bit weird. But what I'm thinking we can do, since storage is such an important thing in a ship like this, I think we're going to go with a design that we've done for a lot of the ships in this series, which is going to be the modular cargo containers, kind of on the side of this guy. So if I stick a modular cargo container right here, and then I do the same, I mean, we can't do the same on the other side because that's there, but you can kind of see what we're going for there. And then the next problem comes with the fact that we need to find a way to connect these together. So I think we'd probably do something like this, although I could also potentially do something like that, but I think this would be better. So we'd go conveyor junction. We'd have to do another, well, we could do a container right here. There's no need to have that space be empty. And then conveyor junction right there. And what that would allow us to do is something like this, where we get our grinders, because we're making this the grindiest before we make this the barista. So grinders right there, and then we can build from there. So we would essentially have the ship looking like this. And I think it would be a hydrogen ship. Obviously we have this in the back, so that would be ion thruster. I mean, okay, if it's gonna be a hydrogen ship, what we're really gonna need is, all right, think about this, for example. We could throw our O2H2s here, and in fact, I'd rather use these nicer lab ones. So we could go O2H2 right there and O2H2 right here. I don't have steel plates, but you see where I'm going for. And then we could have our connectors, plural, on the back right here. So if I grab a couple steel plates, you'll see how that's thought about. So our connectors would be kind of like this, and then same thing on the other side right there. Although I don't know if I like them exactly in line with this guy. So another option, we would want more storage. We could always do something like that and then toss our connector back there. And then we kind of have this inline divot where the thruster is a little bit protected. It's inside here. But if I'm doing that, then I could also bring the thruster back a little bit and bring these forward. In fact, I think I would almost want my thruster to be one forward here. So what we would do is remove this. Let's add a block here so this doesn't fall. And remove these. Boom, there we go. So that would be one of our connectors, and we have another one on the other side. So we have this kind of in a little bit, and then all this stuff is gonna get moved. So we'd have our two grinders right there. Now, the problem with this, though, of course, is that it doesn't have very good hydrogen capabilities. That's the big problem with the Barista originally, right? Is that its hydrogen capabilities were a little bit lacking. But if we add a normal amount of thrusters, because this is gonna be a spacefaring ship, of course, then maybe it's fine. Since it's a spacefaring ship, we would want, of course, some oxygen tanks. I think that's important. You know, what I could do is I could just make this an ion version of this ship. That wouldn't be a bad idea, in fact. You know what, dare I say, I think that even makes sense. Let's just make this an ion version of this ship. So these right here, we're not gonna have those, although, I mean, maybe it would be a good idea to have something. All right, check that out right there. So it's an entire ship basically built around this thruster here, where the entire goal is that this thruster will not get destroyed. And what we'll do, we might place blocks on that, I don't know. But for the most part right now, this should be fine. I'm thinking we're gonna need a lot of ion thrust though, because this is essentially, if I remember correctly, this is an ion thruster. It's a weird ion thruster, but it's an ion thruster nonetheless. So what we'll do is, let's get our ion thrusters out, and we're gonna go with, not the sci-fi, but I think we're gonna go with the warfare, because I really like this look. And we're gonna do ion thrusters like this. So one, in fact, maybe we do them on the sides. That makes sense, if I have them on the sides like that. I mean, that might make it a little harder to get in places. I could always put them on the top and the bottom, but I don't know, I think I kind of like how we have the top and the bottom configured. Because then what this allows me to do is I can go, top like this, that skips 2, bottom like that, and then we can do a bunch of side thrusters right here. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. And then same thing on this side. All right, and this is starting to look pretty good. We've got top thrusters, we've got bottom thrusters, we've got forward thrusters. I would like to have a couple of backward thrusters just as like backup backward thrusters, just in case. So maybe things like right up here, or maybe something like that. Just a couple backward thrusters right there, just in case this one somehow gets taken out. We've got a couple of thrusters as backup. Okay, so we've got forward, we've got backward, we've got left, right, we've got up, down. We need one right there, but yeah, I think we're starting to look pretty good. And then all I need to do now is get a bunch of batteries, because this is gonna be a large ship. We're gonna want some battery capabilities. But you know what? First, let me go ahead and weld everything up that we have here, and then we'll work from there. So once we know everything we have, this is gonna take a second. It's almost like we need a barista to weld up the barista, but it's fine. We'll start by welding all this stuff up, and then we'll move from there. The increased inventory size is really gonna help us out here. In fact, all components withdrawn. Oh man, I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, there's the extra computers. Here's that guy, the grinder as well. This, and this is going to be the barista mark, whatever the newer one's going to be. I'm going to grab one of these, and I'm going to control click to grab 10 of all that stuff, and that's going to definitely fill up my inventory. But we have so many thrusters that I think I'm fine with that. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and I want to see if I can get some of the smaller thrusters as well. Okay, this is going to be all of these right here. All these thrusters are basically going to get built up right here, because we can build them up. And then these as well on the back. We need some stuff for this, but let's go ahead and right click you. We'll get you, and then you 3 as well. And I think we'll leave it at that for now. Let's go ahead and grab all that stuff. And while we're here, I of course have this guy, the inset refill station, which I can use. I just love the inset refill station. Again, favorite block in the game is the inset refill station. Okay, we can rebuild you, and build you up, and we can get these 3 done as well. All right, and with this load of materials here, that's going to be everything that's on the snowstorm right now, built up with no problem. So what I think I'm going to do next from here is I want to tilt you upward. I think, yeah, we're going to do that. We're gonna tilt you upward, because if I tilt you upward, that's gonna allow me to have a connection right there. And what I'm thinking is I just want to store a little bit of oxygen. And I'm not gonna use one of these large oxygen tanks, but I'm gonna use some of the small oxygen tanks, where I think maybe, I could put them right there. Or right there, and then batteries on the outside wouldn't be bad. Here, let's try this, because we don't need a crazy amount of oxygen on this thing. We just need like a little bit to keep us oxygenated, I think. So just a little bit of oxygen right there, and then we would definitely like a couple more batteries. And the best place for us to put those, well, it could be the bottom. The bottom wouldn't be a bad idea. You know what? We're gonna do some small batteries. Let's do just a layer of batteries like this. And I think if we find Prorotech tiny batteries, they are more easy to fit. But just a couple small batteries right there, I think will do pretty well. And then we'll do one larger battery on the bottom. So let's go ahead and get that, and we'll just control click that a couple times. There we go. I think I like this. So this is a pretty good ship, and we're gonna need a cockpit of some kind. So let's give ourselves one of those. And I do like the flush cockpit. Problem is, with the way we have it set up right now, it's not easy for us to get oxygen anywhere. So if we wanted to get oxygen somewhere, we'd have to set the flush cockpit a little bit ahead of us. Or we could use a different cockpit as well. So if we use this cockpit, no, it's the same thing. Flush cockpit. Fighter cockpit has the large connection, I think. Industrial cockpit, on the other hand, can actually work for this. So we'd have to stick it right there, basically. And then it would stick... Oh, actually, that's not bad. The connections would come up here, so we would have to connect them to this also. Which, again, wouldn't be the worst thing. We could probably work with that. Something like this, and then a T-junction right here. And then I'd probably go with... I could go with a T-junction, but I'd probably go with one of these just for, you know, if we ever want to add something else. All right, that right there is going to give us, and I believe, yeah, there's a connection right there. Perfect. That's going to give us this. And so, yeah, anything that's, you know, if you're sitting in there, you'll get stuff from those seats. Okay, so all we need now are gyros, and gyros are easy. I'm just going to stick them right here and right here, I think. These are good spots. All right, there we go. A couple gyros, and I think with that we can now disconnect it from the bottom here, and it'll be able to fly around. So let's go ahead and do that. Disconnect you, and we're gonna need to get this guy as well. And now we should be able to fly. Okay, so this is floating. Go ahead and get that, and then this right here is gonna be turning into an ion thruster. There we go. Okay, so now with that, we can move around, we can go forward, we can go backward, but our Prorotech thruster is not even on. If we go ahead and turn on the Prorotech thruster, you'll see how crazy this thing is. It's probably gonna use all of our power, by the way, as well. It's probably very power hungry. Okay, let's see. We have 2 batteries and a bunch of tiny batteries. It's using 50% of our power, but look how fast that thing accelerates. Oh my God, okay, it does use all of our power. Look at, when we accelerate, you know, to the left and the right, we have 30 minutes, 9 minutes if we go backwards, but 8 minutes if we try and go forward. That's insane. Okay, we need more batteries for sure. And I think I'll be able to find places to put them. What I want to do here, I think I want to go battery to give this thing just boatloads of power. And then we could do a second battery right here. But then the problem now is that our Prorotech thing is surrounded by breakable batteries, which is a little sketchy. But you know what? It's probably fine. 1, 2, 3, I think. Yeah, 3. There we go. With that, we have adequate power now for our Prorotech guy. We can remove this because we don't need this connection anymore, although we'll need to find something to put there. So that is the functional, you know, set of stuff that's going to be on the Barista Mark whatever. In fact, we can go ahead and name it as well. If I go into my F10, I want to go for Barista. So we have Barista Welder Mark II. This is going to be the Mark III's because it's space, or Mark IIII for Ion. I don't know, what makes more sense, the Mark III's or the Mark IIII? The problem is S looks like 5 and I looks like 1. I could always go 3 lowercase I, Mark IIII for Ion, or I could go like Mark IIII like this, and then if I had an atmospheric version, it'd be Mark IIIA, and a hydrogen version would just be the Mark III because it can go anywhere. I don't know, we'll go Mark IIII like that, and I'll go ahead and blueprint it for now. The refill stations have small grid options. It looks like they might. Ooh, hang on now. They do. And because they do, I might want to use that. They only have one option for the, and they only have a large connection. Okay, that does make life a little trickier. That means we'd have to put it right here basically if we wanted it. I don't think we'll be able to put one in then, unless we were to put it. No, even the bottom doesn't have any options. Okay, yeah, it'd be a little difficult to put a refill station then. If only, that'd be so nice. Okay, 17 minutes now, and that's uncharged as well. Think about doing something like this right here. Just for this, because it looks cool. So I can show off my Prorotech thruster, and then I could do something like this on the side, and then down right here. I don't know, it might look cool. Yeah, I mean, that kind of looks kind of neat, right? And then, I don't know about right here. Make something like that would be neat, I think. I don't know, what about that? Does that look decent? Maybe. I really don't know. Okay, the back is starting to look pretty good. I've got a couple lights set up right here that I kind of like. And then, it's a little squarular, but I think that's fine. Maybe I'd put like a camera here or something, just so that it's easier to back up. Yeah, I think having a camera there is a good idea. People always tell me I need backup cameras, so I might as well throw one in there. And then I like this kind of angular thing we've got going on right here. I'm gonna keep this exposed, I think. But some of this stuff we can kind of... Oh, actually, you know what? Let's do this. There we go, that's not bad. I think I kind of like that. And then up here, we would do maybe this.
Energy low.
There we go. What do you guys think about that? I think that little angle thing looks pretty cool, and that allows us to kind of get like a nice little ridge right there, which will protect the cargo a little bit. I think that's going to end up looking pretty nice. And if I keep that going like this, it'll end up being like boom, boom, and then we'd bring it up right here. Or we could even go around like this. I hardly ever use this block, but we could use it like that if we're doing an angled thing on that side, which might not be bad. I don't know, maybe we'll try it. Maybe we'll try using that block that I've never used before. Okay, something like that. Oh, what do you guys think of that? That doesn't look that bad. I like that it kind of shows the cargo right here, but it doesn't necessarily hide it all the way, and it also keeps it protected a little bit so that we have a little bit of coverage right there. And I could even add a light right there if I feel like it. Right now, I think we're gonna be fine, but this kind of brings us to wanting to do something like this. So we'd have 1, 2, 3, and that would come down right there. So same thing right here, we'd have 1, 2, and then I don't know exactly where it would go, but you can kind of see, you know, the direction that's going. So 1, 2 right there, and then 1, 2, 3, and then bringing in our favorite blocks here. Okay, our energy's a little bit critical. This is why we hold up right next to one of these refill stations to help us out if we ever need it, which in this case we absolutely do. Grab a little bit of refill right there, and then let's continue getting back to work. I just need to get this side looking good. But I think we have a good base of what we're going for at this point that I really like. All right, light right there. We've got a couple lights on the back. I think I would like to actually add a light right here. It could be a good idea to have something right there. And in fact, I mean, I could add whatever I want right here. Honestly, if we wanted to make this a combat vessel, then we have a connection right there. I could stick a machine gun right there. I don't think we're going to right now. If maybe there's a better, well, yeah, I don't think we're gonna do that right now. Or are we? You know what? We are gonna do that right now. Just considering there are reavers in this world, and sometimes we need a ship to, you know, help us in a fight. I'm gonna stick a couple autocannons right there, and I think that'll help dissuade anyone from attacking me. And then if I'm doing that, then what I'm also gonna do is this. I'm gonna remove some of these. It's not the worst thing. I lose out on 2 power cells every time I do this, but it should be okay. And the reason I'm doing that is because I would like to clear out this area a tiny bit so that if I ever shoot this gun, I'm not gonna hit my stuff. I don't know, what do I think about this? Do I like this? Maybe. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Okay, I'm trying to decide between 2 options. I think I like this one. Having the weapon right there, but then... You know what, on second thought, actually, I think I'm gonna move the weapon all the way down here. I think this is a better spot to put it than having it up there. It just doesn't make as much sense having it up top like that, whereas having it down here would actually go pretty well, because there's not a lot going on down there. Let's go ahead and do that. That might have already... No, it didn't pull anything, because there's nothing to pull. You know, where these batteries went, I think I'm gonna stick a couple things. I'm gonna stick an event controller for the connection, and then I'm gonna stick 2 timer blocks. Because we like our timer blocks as well, because I like to use timer blocks for the connection as well. So timer block, 1 for connected, 1 for disconnected. And then finally, I'm gonna stick a reactor as well, which you might think is a little bit weird, but it's gonna make a little bit of sense because we do have a bit of uranium on the base. And since this is a power hungry vehicle, having a little reactor right there would be a good idea for this extra spot. So let's go ahead and build these up. There's our event controller. Here's our timer block, and then let's get this reactor set up. That's gonna require some reactor components, but I'm pretty sure we have some. And the answer is yes, we do. And then for this, okay, this is gonna change. I'm gonna do this. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm gonna do it. I need to change up a little bit of how this is done. We're headed down the Atlanta highway. And then I really like the idea of using lights here. I think these end up looking really good. So let's go ahead and right click 2 of those. And I always go a little bit too easy on the lights. So we're gonna go hard on the lights this time and add a lot of them instead of, you know, not enough. Alrighty. So this, I'm not 100% sure what to do about. I've got a little bit of space here that I could use for something. I think I really like how this is going. Although I do wanna, let me add the blocks that go here as well, real quick. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put 2 of these right here, these little half panels. And the reason I'm doing that is because I wanna give them a nice little paint job here that's going to be separate from everything else. So we're gonna give them this hazard armor, but then up here, we're gonna give them a yellow. And we're gonna go for a very, you know, bright yellow. And let's give them this. And so if we do it like that, it's only gonna paint those the color, which is good. I don't want the entire block painted. I only want those right there to be painted. Whereas if I paint the entire block, let's see what that looks like. Well, actually, that's not bad. Because then I could paint like that. I don't know, man. I actually don't mind that. That's not bad. So you know what? Here. Let's remove that. It's a shame that that doesn't line up even there, but still, I like that. Or do I? Does heavy armor look better, maybe? Yeah, heavy armor actually does look a little bit better. So you know what? We are gonna go like that, I think. And then on the sides here, we're gonna do... Let me see if we have a good sign that I can throw up. I don't think we have any good signs here. We could always use an LCD. LCDs would work pretty well. I think, you know what? I think we've really outdone ourselves with this one. I think this is a good looking ship. It's got the signs right there. It's got, you know, lights everywhere basically, which is always a good thing. I actually really like this. I like this ship. All right, with that, I think we can call the Barista Welder pretty much done. I'm not a huge fan of the placement of this thing. Yeah, I don't know about that. I wish it were like even, but unfortunately it can't be even easily. Okay, I have a different idea then. All right, we're gonna have 2 of those right there. We're gonna turn off auto lock on them, and they're gonna act basically together. There we go, lock that down a little bit, so if anything shoots that way, it's less likely gonna damage that. And then I think I'm fine with this. Maybe I'll do some windows here. Yeah, I guess it looks a little strange, but it's whatever. We have a lot of protection now for our Prorotech thruster. It's very unlikely that it'll get shot in any easy way. It can from the back, but from the bottom it'd be very difficult. You'd have to hit through one of these, or you'd have to hit through one of these windows. But other than doing that, it's pretty safe. So I think I'm fine with this. Okay, I think this right here is the Barista. Let me get the cockpit thing set up real quick, and then we'll be good. All right, with that, everything is set up. So I have the autocannon set up on one of these. I've got the grinder set up on one of these, which will become, actually, no, for this, when we're saving it, I'll turn it into a welder, because that's what I'd like to save it as. It is the Barista Welder, after all. There we go. We've got the welders on there as well. We've got a lock for the landing gear on the bottom, which is just like these 2 mag plates. And we have a all unlock one, just in case they get like out of sync. And we need to hit that button. Then we have the forward thrusters turn off, which is this button right here. That'll turn only those thrusters off. Then we have all on off. Then we have our battery. The battery's not set up right. Hang on. We need recharge on off, not discharge on off. So yeah, there's our battery right there. Then we have our lock unlock right there. And I think with that, we are okay to go ahead and blueprint this. I'm not going to rename it because I'm fine with the name Mark 3i. So let's go ahead and Control B that. It's gonna rename it to that. I will go ahead and rename it to that again, and there we go. Okay, there are our 3 Barista iterations. And what I'm gonna do, first things first, let's go inside here, let's open the doors, and let's make sure the Barista is nice and recharged so we don't run out of power. So back in here, we're gonna hit number 2 to open those doors, which is gonna do that real quick since we don't have to wait for anything to depressurize. And let's head inside here. Now, it might be a little tricky. I actually wonder how this is gonna work out. Might be a little tricky to connect to that. Let's see if we can. If not, we'll have to go connect to a different one. We do, of course, have this backup camera right here that can help us out a tiny bit. So let's make sure that we use that, as well as this front thing to make sure we're not going to hit into anything. And I think we should be good. So let's press number 5 again. And I guess we'll continue to go back. There we go. There's our connection. Let's press number 9. Everything's going to turn off, and the batteries are going to start recharging. This is a little bit too small for this, so what might I do? What happens if I remove that? Okay, I'll need to do something about that. Clang is annoying. You guys hear all that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my creative stuff, and I'm going to go into entity lists, and all we need to do is make sure that floating objects, scrap metal, are pretty much all destroyed. There we go. Once we remove all that scrap metal, the clang stops. It's very nice. So many random blocks in here. So the Barista is going to be how we're going to move over some of our Prorotech blocks over here, but it's also going to be how we're going to scrap a lot of that base in order to be used on the snowstorm here. For now, though, what we want to do is we want to try and repair as much of the stuff as we can. So things like this right here, we need to give a nice little repair. I'm not going to change a lot of the interior, I think. Although, let me think. Maybe I will change a little bit of the interior. Because if we think about this, one of the things we did have in the base let's go inside the base and explore it actually real quick, because I don't think we've been in here at the start of this episode. So let's go back down, and then down here, and then we're gonna go ahead and, what's in here? Prorotech capacitor, medical components, okay. Well, let's go ahead and hit the button to open this door. Those are our level 3 stuff. A lot of stuff in here. But one of the things we had, I don't think I explored the entire base. Wait, hang on. There's a lot more base that I didn't explore last episode. Whoa, okay, so there's medical components in there. We can go into there, but let's find out what's over here. Nothing over here, so let's just go into here and see what's down here. This is just another one of those containers, which contains a bunch of artillery shells, so we'll happily take those for sure. And then what about over this way? Okay, no, we went down there already. What about in here? Broadcast controller, action relay. We do have another room right here with one of these, and I think this is the same thing, just going out to a cargo container right there. But anything potentially in this bed? Let's hop in this. Nope, doesn't look like there's anything. And let's check some of this stuff. Yeah, some cosmic coffee, very nice. Over here, yeah, so we do have some alternate ways you could get inside the base, which is kind of neat. So if we didn't want to go in the main way, we could have actually gone in through one of these sideways, which is really cool, in my opinion. This is where we have that Prorotech frame, right? Okay. The Prorotech frame is scary because once you place it down, you can't unplace it. But it will allow us to place one of the Prorotech blocks. So we're gonna need to figure out where we want to put these, and it won't likely be easy to get them where we decide to put them. So just thinking about where we could put some Prorotech blocks, we could renovate the hangar so that it's a little smaller. It would then only be this one, and then the back area over there would simply be, you know, a place where we would have some Prorotech blocks that we could use. Because we do have 2 Prorotech batteries, so we'd put one right there maybe, and one right there. And then we could use this other side, for instance, to do a Prorotech assembler, which is something that I would love to do. Because hang on, let's look at our options. So with our Prorotech frame, we could make another Prorotech jump drive, which would be great, but it'd require a lot of superconductors. We could make another Prorotech, or we could make a Prorotech thruster large grid. Again, would be cool, but I don't think that we necessarily need it right now. A Prorotech refinery would be really neat. I'm pretty sure this just increases the speed though. Oh no, it has a higher yield. So this would be cool, but I don't think we need it right now. The assembler is huge because that would allow us to build up more Prorotech, not Prorotech frames, but all the other Prorotech stuff. The gyro and the battery, the drill and the fusion reactor. Yeah, I really think the assembler is the way to go. So if I grab an assembler, let's see how big this guy is. I've never placed this down. Ooh, it is quite large. 1, 2, 3, 3 by 2 by 2, but it's workable. Meaning what we could do is we could remove this section right here and put the Prorotech assembler in this area. So if I were to do that, let me get everything out of here, because there's some stuff in here. All this is gonna get moved over to here. So this guy, let's repair this guy while we're at it, because we are gonna need to anyway. So this guy would get repaired any second now. And once this guy's repaired, I'm thinking what we would do is, pretty sure he's connected to that. So we would probably put all these blocks in right here. And then Prorotech assembler would go right there. Does that connect though? No, that doesn't connect easily that way. It would connect this way though if I faced it around. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm thinking. If I put it right there, it would end up going up to here, which means I wouldn't be able to have that pressurization anymore. So I would have to change up how I'm doing this to work with that. So if I put back my heavy armor blocks right there, and then I put heavy armor blocks here, because I wouldn't want this thing getting shot, so I'd want to have heavy armor on the bottom. It could go right there. That would work. And it's a little bit defended from this side. I think that would be okay. Likewise, could do it like this. Stick it all the way in the back right there, and then we have the connection right here. You know what? I actually think I like this one better. So if I take out my Prorotech thing, I could stick it right there, and it's pretty well defended right there. Usually you don't get a lot of damage back here and in the back of the ship, because we have heavy armor on this side, we'll have heavy armor on the bottom, and then we have lots of stuff above it basically that has to go through. The biggest damage point would be through the side basically, so I'd want to reinforce a little bit of this. But if I put this here, I could then, you know, route some blocks around that way. Oh, I actually kind of like this. I think this is how we're gonna do it. So let's do Let's build up these blocks first of all. I don't care about you guys being heavy armor. You guys can all be light armor for all I care. But you guys, yeah, you guys also can be light armor. Let's get those other 2 heavy armor blocks built up here. It's gonna take a couple trips. 1 trip per, actually, because of that inventory size increase that we got. So there we go, and then let's get these heavy armor blocks built up as well. Oh, this is cool. We're finally making some big changes to the snowstorm, which I like, because I like new things. New things are fun. Okay, let's keep doing this. And we'll probably make a couple of exterior changes when we, like, as we build it up. But for now, just these interior changes are gonna be really good, because we need to get those Prorotech blocks as well away from that other base. Now, building this one up right now is not necessary. So what I'm gonna do actually is grab, in my G menu, I'm gonna get these scaffolding blocks and just plop a couple of these. So where this is gonna go, we're gonna go scaffolding, basically there. And I don't need to build them up. We know where it's gonna go. It's gonna go right there. And I'll do, there we go. We'll do a little sign right there as well to show that that's the path of the thing. And right here is just gonna be a conveyor junction, because that's what we need to go. Actually, what are you? Where do you connect to? You connect up that way, right? Huh. Well, since we're gonna be going this way, we could always connect it up like this. Yeah, hang on now. We don't necessarily even need you. Yeah, conveyor block right there. Let's do this then. Let's make this easy. Oh, we're out of energy. Where do we have a thing? Over here. Okay, luckily we have a lot of health. I wonder if the damage reduction actually accounts for this as well. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, this is looking pretty good. We might need to move where this is, but that would be okay. In fact, we could move it to here. We could just have it be right there, literally. There we go, cheeky little cargo terminal. And were we out of steel plates? Or are we good? I think we're good. Ooh, that's a lot of stuff in there, man. Okay, well, eventually we'll do the job of making that go away. I'm gonna throw a heavy armor block up here as well, so we can support the expensive block that we're about to put right here. And I think I like this. I think this is gonna be a good decision. Now, for the other side, we're gonna do the same thing as well, because we're shortening our hangar by quite a bit. Quite a big margin here. Nothing is in that one, very good. All right, this is really fun. So, how big were those batteries, by the way? I need to go examine. Okay, each battery is 2 by 1. 2 by 1, so they're quite small. Which means we can fit them pretty much anywhere. I'm thinking something easy, like maybe 1, 2, something like that. And then you have kind of this middle area, or we could likewise go 1 and then 2 and have them like right on top of each other, leaving us a little bit of room for like a future stuff if we want. In fact, that might be even better. I do kind of like that. So let's do 1, 2, and let's get those situated right now, because we have the Barista sitting right over there. It's got everything it needs. So let's go ahead and do that, starting with this top one. So in order to get that one, we're gonna need a merge block. There we go. There's our merge block, and then we need to go and get the actual thing as well. So let's go and get our first one with the Barista. Soon to be the actual Barista, or the Grindista. We need to swap it out real quick. Oh, look at that. Everything lights up. Oh, this is so beautiful. And it doesn't shoot into the ceiling either, because we have an adequate number of thrusters. All right, let's go to the side here. We have 1 hour of power. I'm gonna go ahead and get this gun because it's in the way. I don't know exactly which side the battery's on, but I'm pretty sure it's this side. Go ahead and get this though. Hopefully it doesn't drop a bunch of stuff. We'll grab this as well. This might drop a couple stuff. I'm not sure. Okay, no, I think it actually went into our inventory. All right. Well, let's get in here. Actually, let's back up for a second. I want to make sure. Is this where the... No, this is not the side the batteries are on. All right, well, let's go around to the other side. Another side, another turret. And these are all artillery, by the way, explaining why we have so much damage in the snowstorm right now. It's artillery's damaging, man. Okay, I believe this is the side. All right, let's hop out for a second and see if this is the side. Yep, this is indeed the side. All right, let's get in here. Unfortunately, since our ship grinding is so slow, this is gonna take a second, but we'll get there eventually. So, and luckily you have the power of editing, so you don't have to watch the entire thing. All right, let's get there. All right, we've gotten most of the way there. Let me just clean it up a little bit. Some of these random blocks flying around. Ooh, you know what? There's not a very easy way to deposit blocks into here. That's an interesting one. Okay, so things like this we have to remove. I'm glad they put heavy armor on the bottom too, so that things couldn't accidentally destroy that. Oh no, now I can't actually deposit things super easily. I have to go all the way around to the back to do it. Okay, well that's a flaw. A minor one, but a flaw nonetheless. It's only a flaw if you really want to do things by hand. Okay, we almost have this block. So what we're gonna do for this one is I already know that I want to put the, oh wait, how do I want it oriented? I'm fine with it being oriented this way, so I already know that I'm gonna want to put a block. Yeah, I'm gonna want to put a block here. So what I'm gonna do is, well, actually, you know what? This is fine. I'm gonna go ahead and lock onto it this way. So we're gonna put a big little, or we're gonna put a big connection out there, and then we're gonna use that with our third person here. I mean, the barista is pretty big, actually. So we're gonna go ahead and connect this way. There we go. There we have our connection now. So once we have our connection, all we have to do is come through and start deleting some of these connections that keep it tied to the base. So in fact, we might be able to just delete this one and then be fine. So let's see if we can actually pull it out now. So just like a dentist pulling a tooth, we're gonna go backwards. Okay, no, I think we're pulling the entire base. All right, so there's a little bit more than we have to get. Are you, my friend, still connected somehow? I feel like you are. Ah, yes. No, wait, no, you're not. You shouldn't. Oh, no, you are, because there's a tiny little block right here. A very small connection, but an important one as well. Okay, so now that we have this, let's start moving it into position here. So I know that I'm gonna want to put a merge block right here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and position it so I don't forget about my orientation and stuff. We'll right click this and see if we have the materials for it as well, which we might very well, and we do actually. So there's our merge block. And now with that, let's start heading toward, and we'll be very careful about this, the snowstorm. All right. Again, so this is the first time, wait, is this the first time we're getting a Prorotech block? I don't remember. I think this is the first time we're getting a Prorotech block in this series, right? So Prorotech blocks, you can't build them. That's why we have to be so careful with them. It's really hard. Like if you damage it too much, you cannot repair it. Some of these blocks get lost in the damage. Okay, this is a little tricky. And the other one is going to be even trickier. But we can go kind of at an angle right here. And so what I'm going to want to do is once I'm a little bit close, I'm going to want to remove what we have here, our little guide, and we'll start getting this into position. And there's probably a better way to do this, but for now I'm just going to do it like this, very slowly. That's the name of the game. Let's just have a little examine here. Yeah, so there is definitely an easier way to do this. Probably the easier way would be for me to connect to a different area of the ship. This is a little risky because if it connects, it'll bump me into the ceiling, but we're gonna do it anyway. But like I said, it's gonna be a little tricky just because of how we have this set up. So one thing that I could do is disconnect this, and hopefully that doesn't cause it to move. It didn't, perfect. So let's go ahead and move those. And then what I wanna do is try and, I mean, it'd be really nice if I could just nudge it in myself. I almost need to get, you know what? I almost need to swap to that ship because it's a little bit more wieldy. And get out of here with this one for now. So Barista, you've done like 90% of the job. This is good. Ow. I don't know what I just bumped into. Oh, the ceiling. Okay. Did I kill my, yeah, I killed my backup camera, I think. Ironically. Okay, so you've done 90% of the job. Now it's time for the Speevel to do the rest of it. So Speevel, you just need to make sure that you have a mag plate on the bottom. All right, and then now let's go ahead and do what we need to do. Upside down we go. Okay, it's certainly a weird process. We are going sideways, but we know what we need to do. It's not tremendously difficult to guide this in. So let's slowly do this. Go a little bit to the right, aim ourselves down. Probably need to even out a little bit. Yep, there we go. We've got the yellow connection. Just gonna jiggle a little bit here. Let's have a quick inspect just to make sure we're doing the right thing. We are, okay. Okay, it's not going any further, but I think it's wedged. So let's go ahead and disconnect this. And then, okay, that's fine. I'm thinking we should be able to nudge it into position as long as we didn't break anything just now. No, we didn't, good. Okay, so let's put a block right there and let's try and nudge it. So very slowly, we're gonna get over here. We're just gonna nudge it into place. Yes, there we go. All right, we have connection with our first one. Perfect. All right, so now that that's there, I think it should be connected to the top, although I don't know. Let me go ahead and remove this block. And I'm gonna toss in a heavy armor block up here. There we go. All right, that's very good. So if I remove this guy, we should be good. If I remove that guy, we should be good as well. Perfect. All right, finally, the next guy is going to be a little bit trickier, but all we need to do is put a merge block right here. And then we want the next one to go right about there. So we're going to have its merge block come off the side, and then we'll merge it in that way. So Speevel, I'm going to have you just kind of sit off to the side because I know we're going to need you again. So let's just have you kind of move over here. You can stay floating. We're in space. It's not going to cost any energy for it to just float there. So let's get over here, and let's go back out with the Barista to get the second one. Okay, at this point, you guys know the deal. So let's go ahead and get this connected with this one, and let's get this into position. Actually, you know what? Maybe I connect it. No, I'll connect it the same way because it seemed to work out fine before. The third person, let's come in here and try and get this landing. I think we're gonna need more added to here. There we go. We have the lock, and let's go ahead and disconnect it from the grid. So there's our heavy armor, light armor. Perfect. We should now be not really. We have one more that we need to do, and then it will be disconnected from the grid. So this one right here. Perfect. All right. Let's head back cautiously, and we're going to steal our Prorotech block and move it to our ship. Ah, beautiful thievery. We always love thievery. Thievery's fun. Oh, we're going a little fast. Okay, I don't want to overdo it and go too fast. I've got to remember we do have a Prorotech thruster on the back of this thing. It can go a little bit too fast if we let it. We're going to start getting ourselves in position. So right about here, we're probably close enough that I would want to switch over to the other ship. I'm just a little bit worried about doing the switcheroo. Ooh, what do we do here? Okay, we'll right-click that. And let's build that up. I don't know what we hit, but we hit something. So for this one, we just need to make sure that we have our merge block right there on the side. So right-click that and build that up, and we can start getting this into position. Guess we can get it as far as we can with this guy, and then we'll switch over. I mean, actually, we're getting this pretty far, but this might be as far as we go. Might be the end of the line for the Barista. Well, we have yellow, so you know what? It might actually try to connect it. So let's go ahead and save real quick because of what we're about to do. And let's disconnect and back up. Yep, that's what I was worried about. What did it do to us, though? Did it do anything that bad? Okay, it didn't destroy the Prorotech thing. I think we might be good. Yeah, it just broke a couple of our blocks. I think we're good with that. That's what I was afraid of, though. I knew it was going to fling us upward. Anyway, this is now connected, so we're good. You're connected to you, so we can go ahead and destroy you. And then finally, of course, we can throw down our heavy armor blocks. There we go. Take a look at that. Prorotech batteries on here. And Prorotech batteries are good for a couple of reasons, because the main one actually is that they have a charge efficiency of 90% compared to, I believe, 80% of a standard battery. We have a couple standard batteries over here anyway. Yeah, 80%, meaning when you charge a regular battery, you actually lose 20% of that power in the charging process. But with a Prorotech one, you only lose 10% of that power, which is very good. It also has a higher output, I believe. Not the current output, but the max output is 48 megawatts compared to 12, I think, from a normal battery. Yeah, a normal battery has 12. So for double the space of a regular battery, it's more efficient and it outputs quadruple the amount of power. So if you needed 4 regular batteries to power a base, you could have only one of these and it would do the same amount of power while being more efficient. So very good. Very good stuff. Jolly good show. Okay, let's get these in here and let's build up some of the... Actually, you know what? I think I do want to just make these heavy armor as well. All right, very good. I like this. And I think this... maybe we keep it back there. I think it might be fine. I was thinking maybe I move it forward a little bit, but I don't know. Let's try and get this built up where this scaffold block is. Let's try and get the assembler put in here. I don't know if we can build it up, but we do have a couple Prorotech blocks on the grid over there. So let's start by getting our Prorotech frame, and then let's work from there. So these as well, I'll go ahead and grab, otherwise they'll just float here forever until the garbage collection decides to collect them. And let's grab our Prorotech frame. Oh, it's beautiful. Not craftable, look at that. Oh, it's so beautiful. While we're here, we'll grab the Prorotech. Is there any other Prorotech stuff I want to grab? What are you? O2H2. Ooh, okay. Any more Prorotech stuff that I need to yoink? Yeah, so the Prorotech machinery we'll grab. And if there's any other Prorotech stuff, we'll grab that also. Ah, Prorotech capacitors. Anything else? Cobalt in there, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think that might be all the Prorotech stuff, but let me go ahead and cycle the doors again real quick. See if there was anything just in the front here. I don't think there was. I think we got all the Prorotech stuff. So maybe a bit of a work in progress, but Let's get our Prorotech assembler built in here, or put in here. So we need to make sure that it's in the right spot. It is indeed. Let's go ahead and build it up. And we can get the one Prorotech frame in there. The sad part is if this gets destroyed, that Prorotech frame gets lost. So it was a bit risky to even put that there. But yeah, if we find Prorotech panels, if we buy them at a place or something like that, then we can of course build it up. So do we have any Prorotech panels? I'll right click on this and see if I can build up as much of it as possible. We do have some of the stuff actually. Construction components. Yeah, some of that stuff, but not any of the Prorotech stuff. We were able to get 3 of the 20 Prorotech machinery. So that's good, but I'd really like to get some of those Prorotech panels built up. If only I still had that drill, because I'd be able to just, you know, destroy it and take its parts. I mean, it could still be out there somewhere. I think it got sheared off in the battle, so I have no clue where it would be, but yeah. All right, this is a work in progress. So I put up a little shield so that nothing can destroy it while we're here, because I don't want it getting destroyed. So it's got a little shield. There we go. One does not simply destroy our Prorotech block in progress. It is surrounded mostly by frame. There we go. Now it is almost impossible to accidentally misclick and destroy because it's behind all this stuff. Even there, you can't go and misclick it. So it's behind all this stuff, and you have to actually open this if you want to go in there and weld it up. Okay. So, we need to find Prorotech blocks in that case. I don't think there were any... Do we have any Prorotech blocks on the base, by the way? I don't know that we do. We do have Prorotech scrap, which would be useful if we had a Prorotech thing. We have a Prorotech caster, which we can turn into Prorotech scrap if we wanted to. But then over here... Did we have any Prototech stuff? No, okay, so this grid does not have any Prototech stuff. All right, that's fine. Well, in that case, everything else on this base would be safe to remove. We can just go on a grinding spree and grind down all this stuff. Oh, we're out of energy! Why is this happening to me more and more? Okay, we'll go to this energy thing. Okay, I've gone on a bit of a grinding spree and I ground down half the base just with my welder and put it all in here. So there's a bunch of stuff in here now. Yeah, a bunch of steel plates and stuff like that. Guess I can remove this stuff, these little emissives. But I think it's probably about time to go grab the Barista. Barista, barista, it's time to grab the Barista. There we go, let's press number 9 on that guy right there. So he's now in there, and I think I like how that looks. Again, we have a little bit more space for more Prorotech stuff, so if we get a Prorotech battery, or if we get Prorotech jump drive would go up there, but if we get like a Prorotech fusion reactor, that might be able to fit right here, or something like that. And more Prorotech gyros, we could probably find a way to put those in as well. All right, let's go and grind some stuff. Blinded by the light. Mama always told me not to look into the eye of the storm. All right, the Barista is full at 115,000 kilograms, which is quite heavy. Oh, hang on. That should not have fallen off. Well, it's probably fine. Okay, here we are. So let's connect that, number 9. And then I want to go into here, and I have all my Barista. Actually, I can just grab everything that's on the Barista here. And then I can grab storage, and that should bring me to large ship storage, which is only a third of the way full. So anything that's in here, I don't need to take the autocannon stuff, but anything that's in these cargos, we're gonna go ahead and empty them. And our modulars carry 30,000 cargo, by the way, so that's quite a bit of cargo for the modulars. Our connector carries 3,000, so it's not a lot. We have a reactor, very nice. And then the mediums carry 10,000, so that's 30 plus 3 times 10 is 90,000 liters, and then you know, a little bit more from everything else. Very nice. Okay, let's go on our next mission. Okay, I'm sensing that it's going to eventually be a problem that our gyro is no longer connected to this grid because the grid is starting to spin ever so slowly, but it's spinning nonetheless. It's not moving because we do have our thrusters still online. Hey, look, it's the snowstorm coming into focus. Oh my gosh, very slowly. Might I add. Yeah, it's probably a good idea to get another gyro on this thing. All right, gyro's put all the way on the other side of the grid so that it doesn't get destroyed off again. And we're gonna go ahead and override. There we go, so it stays at 0 and it stops moving. Awesome, all right, we're slowly getting through this. I do wonder if it's faster, and it probably is for these smaller blocks to just do it by hand, but these heavy armor stuff, I don't think it's faster. I don't know, we can get through a couple of them. That's only because most of it's gone already. It might actually be faster to go by hand, honestly. Yeah, look at this. We got through so many right there before we have to come back over here and deposit. But then stuff like, you know, this, a pipe works. All right, I made this connection right there because I noticed that all the way on the bottom here, we have this ginormous hydrogen tank, basically, that's full. And I would love to bring that over to the snowstorm to refill it a little bit. I think that'd be a really good treat for the snowstorm winning that battle. Or at least coming out alive. So if we're able to get the snowstorm onto here, that'd be really nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the barista over into the snowstorm again, so that we can drop off some of its stuff. And then let's connect the snowstorm to the little listing post thing. Oh man, yeah, the ship is so heavy it's hard to navigate, but I think we can still do this. It's fine, just a little difficult, but nothing we can't handle. All right, let's press number 9 for that. And then let's make sure everything's out of here. So, man, we have a lot of stuff on here. 47,000 steel plates. We can do a lot. We have so many. We have some gravity components, which we can then stick in the things upstairs. But this is going to be a little tricky, connecting that. Might as well try, though. Going to be a little tricky, but we know where the connection is. It's right there. The sun's in a decent spot to help us out. Of course, we're going to cast a giant shadow over what we're trying to connect to here in just a second, but let's just take this slow, and we should be able to get there. Ooh, we're going a little fast for my liking. But anyway, the connection is right there, so slowly but surely we should be able to make this connection. I need to take a quick peek at what's going on. Okay, I think I want to rotate the snowstorm so that this is not in the way. So we're just rotating the snowstorm a little bit downward. Don't know what that is, by the way. There's just a random debris. That's probably what it is. It's probably just a random debris, honestly. All right, that's probably enough rotating there. So now all we need to do is back up and get into position here. I need to go up a little bit for this. Oop, maybe a little too much there. All right, oh, there it is. That's the connection we're looking for. Let's go ahead and go to our connector. I have no clue what it's called. Connector main, probably. Ready to connect, so let's go ahead and lock that. Perfect. All right, so now I don't think anything's going to automatically steal the stuff from here, but let's see. Is anything stealing you? No. Okay, so what I need to do is go over to the snowstorm, and I essentially just need to tell it to stockpile, and it should just do all this stuff on its own. Luckily, we have an option over here for stockpile. We just need to run over here, stockpile on. Let's open this up. And we should notice down here that how do we get down? Down here, this stuff is increasing. Yes, perfect. Okay, I'm fine with this. Yo, what the heck? We lost our things. Oh, that's not good. That means we lost all the superconductors that came with that. Wow, that's bad. We had two basically things with 1,000 superconductors each. So we lost 2,000 superconductors just because we didn't put this stuff inside a cargo container. Wow, man, the more you know. You live and you learn, right? That's an expensive learning experience, though, I'll tell you what. Okay, everybody, at the realization of that expensive learning experience, I think that's where we're going to end this episode. We did do we did less than I wanted to do, but more than I thought we would do with building the entire Barista Mark III-I, the Ion version of the Barista, as well as getting those Prorotech blocks inside the ship. I think I really like where we've put them over here, putting them in this second section of the top there. And in fact, with that there, what I might do as well is something like this. So we remove these guys, and instead of those, we would do, let's remove the sliding door as well. Instead of any of these, we're gonna go with I wanna go with our corridor transition starting right here. So let's get some blocks here. And I'm gonna cook for a second. Just give me 1 second here. We're gonna make this look nice. So corridor transition right there. Then we're gonna go for our round corridor light, I think, right here. Then we'll have our round corridor standard. And then finally we'll have our door. There we go. So now we have this nice little door going out here, which is this kind of tubular look, which I think looks really cool. And I really like the transition block that they have right here that allows you to come into like a squarular area. And I think all in all, this ends up looking pretty darn good. I don't know what we're gonna do here. We'll find something to do there. I might bring everything forward one or something like that. And then of course for the Prorotech blocks, we're gonna have to go to a trade outpost and see if we can find some, or we'll have to go to another encounter and and see if we can find some stuff. We are planning on going to more parallax stuff, but we probably need to spend a little bit more time building the snowstorm, so that's what you have to look forward to next episode, unless we do a little bit of the snowstorm building off camera, but we'll see how that plays out. But anyways, I really hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, please drop a like. If you didn't, you can drop a dislike. If you have any comments or suggestions, post those down in the comments section below. If you're not subscribed, the subscribe button is down below, and it's actually red, but if you click it, you can turn it white, I think. Or maybe it's white, and if you click it, you turn it red. No, you turn it gray. I don't know. You can turn it one of the colors. Tell me what color it turns when you click it. If it turns red, click it again. I don't know. You know, do you. But anyway, if you'd like to become a YouTube member or Patreon, there are links below in the description for those. You'll get your name in the end credits at the end of the video. You will also get early access to videos. And in some cases, for some of the tiers, you might even get a shout out at the end of the videos. So the people we're going to shout out at the end of this video are Colin Graves, Tyler Hedstrom, and WTC 2014. Thank you very much for your support, and thank you everyone who's watching these for your support as well. It really does mean a lot. I think we find ourselves in this place, so let's go ahead and... I don't know. No, you know what? We need it opened. Okay, I'll see you guys all in the next episode of Space Engineers Survival.